Everyone knows about North Carolina winter chill. The city looks breathtakingly beautiful amidst the biting cold, but along with it comes thick fog, a dense layer that blankets the entire city like a shroud. But what if this fog brings with it something that changes your life forever? Today's story is about Yavin and his friends. Yavin and his friends were fed up with North Carolina worsening pollution and wanted a break. They decided to plan a trip to Outer Banks. 3 days later, they hired a cab and started their journey at 4 a.m. The driver, who came to pick up Yavin and his 2 friends, was cheerful and friendly. Soon, he had bonded with everyone in the group. It had been about 4 hours since they left home. It was 8 a.m., but the sky was still dark. Suddenly, everyone in the car noticed a thick layer of fog ahead on the road. The fog was so dense that the road ahead was invisible. Yavin noticed the driver, who had been smiling earlier, suddenly turned very serious. His face had turned pale. Yavin thought the driver was nervous about driving through the fog. Placing a hand on the driver's shoulder, Yavin reassured him, "Don't worry, brother. Just drive slowly and we'll get through the fog." The driver looked at Yavin and, in a trembling voice, said, "I request you, please, do not open the car windows while we're in the fog. No matter what happens, don't make that mistake." The driver was so scared that Yavin and his friends couldn't help but laugh. That's when the driver explained that this particular area never sees fog. And when fog does appear, it brings with it deceit, illusions, and trickery. Yavin and his friends dismissed the driver's warning as superstition. Soon, their car entered the fog. The dense layer was much larger than they had expected. The driver carefully kept driving, but visibility was almost zero. Suddenly, Rhea, one of Yavin's friends in the car, started feeling uneasy. She couldn't breathe and, forgetting the driver's warning, rolled down her window slightly, sticking her neck out to catch her breath. As soon as she opened the window, she could breathe again, but the fog started seeping into the car. A few seconds later, Rhea looked back into the car and froze in terror. The car was still moving on the road, but she was the only person inside. Yavin, Ravi, and the driver were all gone. The car was driving itself. Panicking, Rhea tried to open the car door to jump out, but it was locked. No matter how hard she tried, it wouldn't budge. She began screaming for help. Suddenly, the car stopped on its own, and the door unlocked. Without thinking, Rhea ran out, but all she could see was the dense fog surrounding her. Screaming for help, her heart pounded as she spotted a shadow in the distance. A tall, dark figure resembling a giant man. Desperate, she ran toward it, but no matter how much she ran, the shadow stayed just as far as before. Before she could comprehend what was happening, she felt someone standing behind her. Terrified, Rhea slowly turned around, and her heart nearly stopped. Behind her was a 12-foot tall dark shadowy figure. Just as Rhea was about to scream, the figure pushed her, and she fell to the ground. When she opened her eyes, she was back in the car with Yavin, Ravi, and the driver. It turned out she had fainted when she opened the window, and the driver had immediately asked Ravi to close it. As they tried to calm Rhea down, the driver kept muttering, "You shouldn't have opened the window. Never open the window." Yavin grew frustrated with the driver, believing he was unnecessarily complicating things. All Yavin wanted was to get Rhea to a hospital. He urged the driver to drive faster. Reluctantly, the driver pressed the accelerator. But just moments later, a girl appeared in front of the speeding car. Unable to stop in time, the car hit her. The driver stopped the car immediately. Yavin and Ravi were both terrified. Yavin quickly got out to check on the girl. What he saw made his blood run cold. The girl lying in a pool of blood was none other than Rhea. Confused and terrified, Yavin ran back to the car, only to find it completely empty. No one was inside, not the driver, not Ravi, not Rhea. Panicked, Yavin carried Rhea's body back into the car and started driving. As he sped through the fog, the same 12-foot shadowy figure appeared in front of the car. Yavin lost control of the steering wheel, and the car crashed into a tree. The next morning, locals found the car crashed by the tree. Yavin, Rhea, Ravi, and the driver had survived the night, but Yavin suffered a head injury that left him mentally unstable. Rhea was so traumatized that she kept seeing the dark shadow everywhere she went. They say that in parts of Asheville and Raleigh, there are 12-foot-tall entities known as land. These beings are said to deceive people, taking various forms to trick them, and fog is one of their illusions. So, the next time you find yourself driving through fog, remember this: never roll down your window. If you liked this story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Terror Time,